Okay, this is part 6 of the devlog on Realtime Swift, which is a declarative video rendering engine, and I'm feeling quite excited about my progress today. I'm Michael Forrest. I'm an indie developer working on Shoot Pro Webcam, Video Pencil, CueCam Presenter, and Squares.tv. Since the last video, I've been feeling like the basic foundations are starting to be there. So like we've got a renderer, we've got view trees, we've got an attribute graph, we've got view modifiers, we've got video layering, and we've got audio as well. So that was a really big breakthrough. So after that audio breakthrough last week, I ended up getting a bit distracted on Tuesday to see if I could bring in audio unit plugins as view modifiers, and I got something working, like not too bad.
We've got some.
If I just hide
voice
myself
there, and then I've got a little way to add effects. Effects. Or we can go pitch. Hello.
Or we can
just go a bit nuts and go with, where is it? Transit. There it is. Hello.
But anyway, that's not really something I see myself adding to CueCam. I just wanted to see what was involved in getting the audio unit graphical interfaces showing. But I'm doing this project for a more urgent reason, which is to replace CueCam Presenter's rendering engine. So I decided it's time for a checklist. And so I'm going to sort of take you through roughly what that looks like. So there's a few things I need to support. So first thing is I can draw, I can sort of draw stuff, and this is coming from the iPad, but basically we're layering in a transparent image that's coming from somewhere else. But we're also doing some special stuff like, I can add some sparkles, and that comes in with sound effects as well. We've got slides, so I can put together these little slides in the editor. They can change size. You see those transitions. It keeps me centered. So we can come in from different sides. It can come from the top, it can come from the bottom, it can be full screen. We can have animated bullet points that look nice when they appear, stuff like this. And then we've got all sorts of arbitrary markup support, like tables that you can just sort of type in cards and they'll come through. Quotations, which I quite like to do something more with. And then, stuff like aside 3D. So, I can put something on screen like some dubious AI generated artwork, and then I can press a button and I can put that down here, and I can sort of start ranting about how LLMs are sold, like they don't really do what they say they do. But anyway, there's also stuff with camera settings. So I've got like a virtual green screen, which is what I'm using right now, which is how I'm kind of over the top. You see it's a bit like flickery, but I like it better than just being in a circle. There's camera LUTs, which I'm also using. And also you can zoom in and out on stuff. So like, if I played like a video, this is also like giving you some of the stuff the app does as well. So it's kind of showing you. Yeah, so we can also, I can like zoom in on this and like pan around it, and that all kind of works quite nicely, and I can sort of draw and like, it'll sort of like, that was a bad choice of color, but if I draw something, it's going to stay sort of like attached. So there's all sorts of stuff going on there. And so here's how it currently works. Basically, we've got a sort of scene kit architecture that obviously that makes this kind of thing quite easy. And then, we're doing transitions using Scene Kit's animation. We've got like shader modifiers to do the camera LUTs and things. So there's a few different things in the mix here. And then just to give you an idea of like, okay, this is kind of the overall layering. So I've got like, I've got certain things are just images, like NS images, which you can assign in Scene Kit. I've got like metal textures, which I generate from different parts of the app. I've got slides, which I'll talk about in a minute, and that, Video Pencil there. So the green stuff, metal. But then over here, like to render the slides, I'm actually composing it in Swift UI, and then sort of like extracting all the different frames, and then after I've extracted all the frames, I also get a texture from that, and then I use my own little renderer to like reconstruct that scene using shaders, and then and transitions and all that stuff, and then ultimately I kind of send that back to the rest of the app, and that sort of gets assigned to this slide layer. So that's kind of why, like, sometimes you see the compositing isn't quite right, the pre-multiplying alpha and things like that. And then I've also got, I've got multiple versions of multiple of these scenes going as well. So I've got my main scene that like goes onto the virtual camera, but then I also need to send something out to the iPad for Video Pencil, which is a slightly different composition. Then I've got my lightbox overlay, which is how I can see see where I'm drawing. So I mean, I could even try and show you that. I'm not going to try and show you, but if like I can see on my desktop like that I am. If I tried to draw here, I know that wouldn't work, right? And yeah, so there's all these things, and that's not even to mention that the editor preview is all Swift UI and works completely differently, which is a constant source of confusion for people, because like there's things like the camera LUT doesn't work, and sometimes the picture-in-picture circle looks wrong. So I'm just trying to unify it all into one rendering engine with one declarative syntax. So I decided to sketch that all out. I just sort of like fired up a gist on GitHub so that I didn't have to like make it compile or anything, but I'd still got a bit of syntax highlighting. So this is sort of like how I'd like it to be. So, starting like this is kind of like the slide stack, because one of the things at the moment is like there's the camera safe zone needs to be monitored from the slides, because where the camera is positioned depends on what slide is showing. So, that was kind of like if I go back to my this thing, you see it's like the camera safe zone is tracked here, and then it has to go all the way back to the camera. But yeah, so I just want to be able to say, let's have a stack with my slide view, and then whatever I'm presenting, whatever I'm sharing full screen with, like our picture-in-picture, or just the camera view. So it's just side by side. So all of that complexity, moving stuff between frameworks, doing all that different stuff, I just want it to be like, no, we've just got a stack with an axis in different orders. So like left to right, right to left would be in different orders. And then like everything that kind of comes from there. So, I've sort of like just sketched out a few things. So I'd have like my different lightbox views. I thought maybe I'd have like a sub-renderer, like macro or something, but I don't know how that good an idea that was. But just like, what do I need? So just thinking about it without actually working on it, thinking about, okay, we want probably a LUT filter modifier, chroma key filter that sort of takes the right settings from somewhere, a slide, and then like this is kind of the slide view stuff. I've sort of taken the top level, because probably a lot of the Swift UI stuff I'll just kind of want to support that in the new engine, but it will be real time. And ideally, I'm really hoping to be able to do stuff, then really start enhancing it. So if I've got control over the video rendering, then I can start to like animate quotes in word by word and all that kind of thing. So, I thought, how do I turn, I'm going to try and turn this into a checklist. So how about, if we do it as a gist, then I can just bring it into the Swift compiler and we can sort of start. So this is sort of like the initial state when I first brought in the checklist. And then, sort of that's in. And so I thought, well, let's start here. Let's start with just like this primary view and like comment everything else out. And then once that's kind of all ready, let's just like take a look and just see what we've got. And then of course, like, we'll probably need to, if I can use this primary source view just directly, so I take it from down there or like wherever it comes from and just like render that out. So then Video Pencil just gets the main stuff, and then we just overlay Video Pencil for the virtual camera. And then obviously like this syntax errors throughout. So once I turn off the syntax errors, this is kind of like my checklist. So, I'm going to have to think about this and like, figure out, what needs to be done. So this is my first sort of like feeling my way around, commenting things out as we go. But yeah, so obviously like this project, this is the first time I'm bringing Realtime Swift into the main CueCam Presenter project. So obviously like if I want to continue working on the project, then I could just like remove that there and just like all the problems go away. But so this is kind of where, so now I'm just going to show you where I'm up to. So I just bring this all onto the right screen. So basically we have got the progress that I want to show you. One of the things that was a real took ages. I wanted to be able to mark things as to do with a macro, so I could just like, okay, I'm not working on this now, but I can just like, instead of commenting it out where it's all grey, I wanted a little macro that shows, okay, that's the next thing I'm going to work on, and then like I can just like, so to add the macro, I can just like select some code. Brackets, quotes, and then like to do, and it basically turns it into a layer with text in it, so I can be like, okay, I've got to do that next. And so I did so I've got my real-time stack that takes an axis and an order. I've got my camera view thing. That's just a class in the project, but the camera view uses quite a lot of has quite a few features. So I've got like depending on what view it's all these conditions work. So to start with, I found loads of bugs with like the if there was one if branch and it didn't have an else, then it wouldn't compile, and stuff like that. So I've been like fighting with generics to just get this stuff okay. But you see like chroma keyed feed, camera feed, and the fact that these can all kind of go to sub view builders. I haven't implemented much, but it's bringing in the real-time source view, and then I'll get to the LUT filters and things like that. So that's kind of like I've got my primary view, I've got my my stack, and I've implemented overlay. That was a big deal, and I implemented a side effect. So am I going to be able to show you this? Maybe. So I'll just show you like real-time progress testing view. If I just, I should be able to preview this just to kind of show you that I have got this. If I look at, what would it be? So a view of this is now loading, hopefully, once it's kind of compiled. And we can start to see that I am using this syntax to sort of put together. So there we go. This is kind of what I'm up to. I've got the main camera. I've got like a sort of a side 3D view. I'll kind of show you the modifiers as well, so you can sort of see what's going on there. But I've got a side 3D, but you also see that it's like video pencil is there. And if I were to, I think if I come to, I don't know if this is going to work, but if I kind of change this to be like full screen, what's going to happen? Is it going to rebuild? Let's see. Okay, yeah, no, there's some things to figure out. I just wanted to see if I could like not do. So if I don't do the aside effect, then you'll see that this should kind of come up to full screen. So, and then you can also see that it's bringing in that pencil layer, and this is actually doesn't, when I draw something on the iPad at the moment and go into a side, you see it like disappears from down here and then like comes back up when it comes back. But this way it's actually quite trivial to persist this stuff and do more sophisticated layering. So the three things I was going to show you: overlay. So the challenges here were that I needed to, I didn't quite understand the generics I was dealing with, but at the end of the day, I just needed to pass in a content builder view and associate that, and that's got this overlay type, overlay modifier view, then just manually goes, okay, I need these two children, child 0, child 1, right? Because it's always going to have two elements. Is this right? Yeah, content and overlay, right? And so it just returns those two children to a resolved view, and then we make an overlay renderer, which is like the simplest thing in the world. It just composites, input 1 over 2. But it gets those two children because of the way that modifier works. The second modifier, the second interesting, so my real-time stack at the moment literally is like, okay, it's a thing, it takes these arguments, but then just kind of returns a Z stack renderer node for now, so it's not really doing anything with it. But it's like, I'm sort of putting in those placeholders. And then the aside 3D effect is, if we kind of have a look in here, is just sort of like passing that all through, passing the effects, and then like we're just doing this CI filter perspective transform, and just I kind of eyeballed it and figured out what the transform had to be for it to work. And it's like, doesn't need to be a 3D engine to do, because all I'm really doing is this flat layer. So that's kind of where I'm up to. I did abandon this like real-time sub-renderer idea, but I did spend a lot of time getting the macros to work. And a lot of this has been like, I've got I've got a lot of Swift packages in here, right? So if we look at, and sort of getting it to work from different places, like, so Swift Package Manager. So I've got like multiple targets now. I've got the real-time audio modules as their own target, so I could have Objective-C. I've got my real-time Swift macros, but that's actually separate to the macros that are used in CueCam to do that to-do thing, because I realized I needed to depend on the Swift, you know, it would be a circular dependency. So, and then each of these, there's quite a few projects with their own, you know, separate little Swift package manager things, and that's been a bit of a headache getting all that working. But, you know, so basically, you know, stuff like the, you know, resolved modifier review. Let's go. Sorry, I'm wasting your time. I don't want to waste your time, but I just wanted to show you like the resolved container, modified result. I'm starting to refactor this into kind of like consistent places, but then I'm also seeing places where, you know, it has to be a certain way. I'll just like take you through. I'll just kind of show you like what's in here, but like you know, we've got our real-time stuff. And basically all these modifiers are now just like building up in here, and our views, our base views are kind of building up in here. And then I've sort of got an increasing number of debugging tools. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm up to. That's what I've got. So each new problem, you know, each new thing is revealing problems with my node tree traversal or reactivity, but these are the sorts of bugs I like fixing because they're generalized. They're not like edge case hacks. They're things that are going to make everything work better as I iron out all the kinks. But anyway, that's what I've got for today. I'm still a way off. I haven't even looked at transitions or layout yet, so stay tuned. And you know, I hope you're enjoying this. I made this with CueCam Presenter. This is my script for today. So this is what those scripts look like. So if you were wondering how those tables are declared, it's all very kind of markdown style. So all you've got to do is put a little kind of hash in front of something and it turns into a slide. You've got a few little controls, and you can sort of come in and do a bit more advanced stuff depending on what you're doing. I generated this this ugly artwork using the image generate background with a prompt. And then this is my room. So I'm is this, oh, I forgot to connect to Air Server. I was going to show you my room. Let me do it quickly. Right, if I'm just firing up Air Server so that I can share what my desk looks like. But in the meantime, is this going to come through? Let's see. If we go backwards and forwards. Okay, there we go. So this is my room. I've got my teleprompter there, so I'm reading a lot of stuff off there, but I've also got the iPad there, which is where I draw, and then I've got my little Stream Deck, which I sometimes use to navigate, stuff like that. So you can try CueCam right now at cuecam.app/download. I am working on making it so polished, and this is going to bring so many new possibilities to it once I've got this new engine, because it's kind of, you saw from that diagram of how it all works at the moment that it's quite complex. It's quite hard to add new stuff, like the chroma key thing today. I wanted the virtual green screen today, so that took me like 2 hours to just, there's different code paths that get hit sometimes, because just having it declarative, I know will solve so many of these like imperative problems and also synchronization problems that I'm having between Swift UI and you know, Metal, Scene Kit, all these different things. So you can give that a go, cuecam.app. Thank you for watching.